Do you know that Europe's richest economy is quietly losing confidence? Do you also know that Germany, the country synonymous with efficiency, discipline, and economic strength, doesn't feel rich anymore? On paper, everything looks impressive. GDP near the top of the global rankings, low unemployment, world-famous exports, a reputation so solid that other nations are told, just be more like Germany. And yet, something doesn't add up. Because behind the graphs, behind the forecasts, behind the carefully balanced budgets, ordinary Germans feel uneasy. They pause before spending. They flinch at energy bills. They joke, half seriously, that prosperity has become a museum exhibit. Impressive to look at, but no longer touchable. This isn't an economic collapse. There are no breadlines, no dramatic crashes, which is exactly what makes it unsettling. People are working. Factories still run. The system still functions. But confidence, that invisible fuel of every strong economy, is leaking. And here's the uncomfortable question economists don't like to ask. What happens when a country is statistically wealthy but emotionally insecure? Tonight, we peel back Germany's polished image, not to declare failure, but to expose contradictions, quiet policy missteps, hidden vulnerabilities, and strange economic truths that don't show up neatly in official reports. If you enjoy videos that question powerful narratives, calmly panic about spreadsheets, and laugh politely while learning uncomfortable truths, gently tap the like button. Subscribe too, because nothing says economic stability like algorithms deciding your future. Now let's begin where Germany's confidence was born and where its unease quietly began. Germany looks wealthy in every direction you measure it. GDP? Massive. Exports? Legendary. Unemployment? Low enough to make other countries jealous. And yet, walk through Berlin, Munich, or Frankfurt and listen closely. You'll hear something unexpected. Concern, not panic, not despair. Just a steady, low hum of anxiety. People talk about prices more than progress, about rent more than raises, about saving more, spending less, and waiting for something. This is a paradox of modern Germany, a nation that looks prosperous but feels constrained. Economists love averages, but households live in specifics. The average German might be doing fine, but the average grocery bill isn't. The average salary may rise, but rent rises faster. And energy bills, once boring background costs, now demand attention like an uninvited guest who refuses to leave. What makes this paradox dangerous is not the money itself. It's the psychology. When people feel uncertain, they behave cautiously. They delay purchases. They save defensively. They stop taking risks. Multiply that mindset across millions of households, and suddenly the economy slows. Not because it's broken, but because trust is thinned. Germany's strength has always been stability, predictability. The idea that tomorrow will look roughly like today, just a little better. That promise feels weaker now. Even when official data says things are improving, the emotional response doesn't follow, because lived experience moves slower than headlines. A family doesn't forget last winter's energy shock just because inflation cooled. A renter doesn't feel secure because a chart says prices stabilized. And here's the deeper issue. Germany didn't build its identity around rapid growth or flashy wealth. It built it around reliability. When reliability cracks, even slightly, it feels like decline. But this discomfort didn't come from nowhere. It was shaped by history, by an era so successful that it set expectations almost impossible to repeat. To understand why Germans feel poorer today, we have to return to a moment when Germany felt invincible. After World War II, Germany did something extraordinary. From ruins, it engineered the Wirtschaftswunder, the economic miracle. Factories rose from rubble. Jobs multiplied. Wages climbed steadily. The welfare state expanded with confidence. This wasn't just growth. It was redemption through productivity. The message was clear. Work hard, follow the rules, and life will reward you. Savings were protected. Inflation was feared and controlled. Housing was attainable. Pensions felt reliable. Prosperity wasn't flashy. It was dependable. and that dependability shaped an entire national mindset. Germans learned to think long-term, to plan carefully, to trust institutions. But here's the problem with miracles. They create expectations that outlive the conditions that made them possible. As globalization intensified, Germany adapted brilliantly, becoming an export powerhouse. But that success came with trade-offs. To stay competitive, wages were restrained, labor reforms increased flexibility and insecurity. Growth continued, but its rewards became less evenly distributed. The system still worked, but it worked differently. Older generations remember steady progress. Younger generations see stagnation. Parents built wealth through stable jobs and affordable housing. Their children face higher rents, tighter margins, and longer timelines, despite being just as educated, if not more. Even when incomes rise, the sense of advancement doesn't, because prosperity isn't just about earning more. It's about moving forward. And for many Germans, forward motion feels slow. This creates a subtle emotional tension. The country hasn't failed, but it hasn't fulfilled the promise people inherited. And when reality doesn't match expectation, disappointment feels like loss, even without poverty. This gap between memory and modernity is where anxiety grows. And then came the one thing Germany fears most: unstable prices. Inflation terrifies Germany, not metaphorically, historically. The hyperinflation of the 1920s wiped out savings, destroyed trust, and destabilized society. It remains an economic trauma passed down like folklore, except it's real. That's why price stability became sacred. So when inflation surged in the 2020s, it wasn't just an economic event. It was emotional. Energy prices exploded. Food costs jumped. Rent followed, quietly but relentlessly. Even when inflation slowed, something crucial didn't happen. Prices didn't go back. For households, that feels permanent. A silent downgrade in living standards. Economists say inflation is cooling. Consumers say, tell that to my grocery bill. And here's the disconnect. Statistics measure rates of change. People feel absolute costs. If bread costs more today than last year, it doesn't matter that it's rising slower now. It still costs more. Wages rarely catch up fast enough. So every month feels tighter, not dramatic, just draining. This erosion creates vigilance. People monitor spending more closely. They feel poorer, even if technically stable. And this sense of loss becomes sharper because inflation hits something foundational. Germany is a renter's country. For decades, that was a strength. Renting was secure, regulated, predictable. Owning a home wasn't necessary to feel stable. That model is now under strain. In major cities, rents have surged. Construction hasn't kept up. Energy-efficient renovations, environmentally good, often mean higher costs for tenants. Moving used to be flexible. Now it's risky. For young families, housing dominates the budget. For retirees, utilities quietly eat into fixed incomes. For everyone else, the fear is the same. One increase could change everything. Homeownership feels unreachable. Renting no longer feels safe. That double pressure creates a feeling of stagnation. Working hard, paying endlessly, building nothing. Housing insecurity affects how people view the future. They delay children, delay relocation, delay commitment. And when housing feels unstable, everything else feels provisional. Germany's economy still functions, but its emotional foundation is cracking. And next, we'll see how even strong employment can fail to deliver security when wages quietly lose their power. Germany loves work, not the motivational poster kind, the serious kind. Work here is identity, pride, proof that the system is functioning. And statistically it is. Employment remains high, factories still hire, offices remain full. So why do so many workers feel underwhelmed? The problem isn't jobs. It's what those jobs deliver. Wages in Germany have grown, but slowly. When adjusted for inflation, many workers feel like they're running on a treadmill set just a little too fast. Lots of movement, very little progress. Over the past 2 decades, Germany prioritized competitiveness. Labor reforms increased flexibility. Part-time roles expanded. Temporary contracts became normal. This kept unemployment low, a success story economists proudly point to. But flexibility has a shadow. More people work. Yes, but more people also juggle uncertainty. A job today doesn't always promise security tomorrow. Raises feel modest. Bonuses feel rare. And promotions no longer guarantee comfort. So workers adapt. They save more. They spend less. They hesitate, not because they're irresponsible, but because caution feels rational. This creates a strange contradiction. Germany is productive, but pessimistic, employed but uneasy. And when millions of workers simultaneously tighten their belts, the economy feels colder, even if it's technically healthy. There's also a generational divide. Older workers often remember steady wage growth and clear career ladders. Younger workers see flatter paths, higher costs, and longer timelines before stability arrives. Same effort, different reward. This gap feeds frustration, not outrage, but quiet resignation. And resignation is dangerous, because when people stop believing work guarantees progress, motivation shifts, ambition softens, risk-taking fades. That's when the economy begins to lose momentum, not loudly, but gradually. And beneath this unease lies another fear. What if, after all this work, the safety net isn't as strong as promised? Germany's welfare state is legendary. Healthcare, unemployment benefits, pensions. For decades, it was a backbone of social stability, a quiet assurance that no matter what happened, the system would catch you. But now, confidence is thinning, not because the safety net is gone, but because it's under pressure. Germany is aging rapidly. Fewer workers, more retirees. That math is uncomfortable. Younger generations contribute more while quietly worrying they'll receive less. Pensions feel distant. Healthcare costs creep upward. Taxes feel heavier. The system still works, but trust is wobbling, and trust is everything. When people doubt future support, they behave defensively today. They save more. They delay spending. They feel poorer, regardless of income. This is where perception becomes reality. A safety net only reassures if people believe it will hold. Add global instability to the mix, and anxiety multiplies. Energy crises, geopolitical tensions, trade disruptions. Each shock reminds Germans that their model, stable, export-driven, carefully balanced, depends on a world that no longer feels predictable. And when predictability fades, even strong institutions feel fragile. The welfare state was designed for steady growth, stable demographics, and calm globalization. The world now offers none of those, which leads to a deeper question. If the safety net feels uncertain and work feels less rewarding, what happens when the outside world starts shaking the foundation? Germany thrives on order, clear rules, reliable partners, predictable trade. Its economy was built for a world that followed schedules. That world is changing. Energy once flowed cheaply and steadily. Now it shocks. Supply chains once stretched smoothly across borders. Now they snap. Germany's export-driven model is incredibly efficient, but also vulnerable. When global demand slows, factories feel it immediately. When trade tensions rise, confidence falls fast. Each crisis reinforces the same message. Prosperity is fragile. Even when GDP recovers, emotional confidence lags behind. Because recovery numbers don't erase lived uncertainty. Businesses delay investment. Households delay spending. Everyone waits. Waiting becomes a habit, and habits shape economies. Germany didn't lose its strength, but it lost its sense of control. And control has always been central to German economic identity. Which brings us to one of the strangest shifts of all. A nation famous for saving now saves out of fear. Germans save. It's cultural, practical, almost instinctive. But saving used to mean planning for something better. A home, a vacation, retirement comfort. Now, saving feels different. It feels defensive. People aren't saving to upgrade. They're saving to survive surprises. An energy bill spike, a rent increase, a policy change. Joy gets postponed. Decisions get delayed. Life moves into wait mode. This mindset creates perceived scarcity, even without actual poverty. And once scarcity is felt, it reshapes everything. People feel poorer not because they have less, but because they trust less. They don't trust prices to stay stable. They don't trust housing to remain affordable. They don't trust the future to cooperate. And here's the irony. Germany's discipline helped build its wealth, but that same discipline now amplifies caution, slowing the economy emotionally, not structurally. When everyone prepares for the worst, the best struggles to arrive. This creates a feedback loop. Caution reduces spending. Reduced spending slows growth. Slower growth confirms caution. The economy still functions, but optimism fades. And optimism is invisible until it's gone. Next, we confront the final uncomfortable truth. Because when averages hide reality, people don't feel represented, they feel left behind. Germany loves averages. Average income, average productivity, average growth. They are neat, comforting, and often misleading. Because no one lives in an average Germany. Behind the national numbers sits a patchwork of very different realities. Some households are comfortable, even thriving. Others are barely holding their ground. And many are quietly slipping, not dramatically but consistently. The problem is not extreme poverty. It is uneven pressure. Urban renters feel it first. Young professionals feel it next. Retirees on fixed incomes feel it slowly, month by month. And when people compare their situation, not to statistics, but to neighbors, parents, or online snapshots of success, something changes. Fairness starts to feel questionable. Germany prides itself on social balance. So when inequality becomes visible, even subtly, it creates discomfort, not outrage, resentment. People notice that wealth grows faster at the top, that asset owners benefit from rising prices, that those without assets simply pay more. And this creates a psychological split. You can be employed, educated, and responsible, yet feel left behind, because averages hide distribution, and distribution shapes emotion. The sense of being poorer often comes from comparison, not absolute loss. When your parents bought a home on one salary and you can on two, the economy feels broken, even if GDP grows. This perception matters more than policymakers often admit, because economic confidence is social. It depends on shared progress. When progress feels exclusive, trust erodes, and trust is what keeps people patient. Without it, frustration builds quietly, not loud enough for protests, but strong enough to change behavior. People disengage. They stop believing improvement is guaranteed. That is when economic unease becomes political unease, which leads to the final uncomfortable question. If Germans feel poorer, what does that signal about what comes next? Germans are not imagining things. Their unease is not a misunderstanding of data. It is a response to lived reality. Germany is still wealthy, still productive, still influential. But wealth without confidence is fragile. This feeling of being poorer is not an illusion. It's a warning signal. Because economies don't turn when numbers collapse. They turn when people stop believing. When households feel insecure, they save defensively. When workers feel unrewarded, ambition softens. When trust in the future weakens, risk disappears. Growth slows not because capacity is gone, but because confidence is. Germany's challenge isn't collapse. It's stagnation, a slow drift where everything still works, but nothing feels inspiring, where policy remains careful, but boldness vanishes, where stability becomes preservation, not progress. And this matters beyond Germany, because Germany anchors Europe. When it hesitates, others feel it. The real danger is a recession. It's emotional exhaustion. A society tired of adjusting downward while being told things are fine. If leaders ignore this feeling, the gap between data and experience widens. And that gap breeds cynicism. But if they recognize it, truly recognize it, something else becomes possible. Rebuilding trust, rebalancing growth, restoring the belief that effort leads somewhere better. Germany doesn't need a miracle. It needs alignment between numbers and narratives, between productivity and payoff, between stability and hope. The question now is not whether Germany is rich. It is whether Germans will feel rich again. Because when a nation stops believing in its future, the future starts to change. And what happens next will define Germany's economy for